Good evening, everyone. Excuse me, I keep forgetting where the new camera is. Cheers, everyone. Flake, as is traditional. Oh, dear me. That genuinely is the first one this week. I've been a good lad all week and laid off the demon drink until Friday. Andy Hawke saying, "What's everyone drinking?" For me, it is the usual stuff from Morrison's. Morrison's export lager, 4.8%, does the job very nicely. Thank you very much. Let's do the register, shall we? See who was first in. David Evans. There we go. You have to get up pretty early to beat David. Then we've got Sean House, Peter C. Nixon. First time I've remembered to watch live. Well, welcome, Peter. Nice to have you on board. Michael Dodds. Hi, fellow Robsonites. Don't call me... Don't call them Robsonites, Michael. It makes me sound like a bit of a cult leader. Yes, I said cult. Yes. Colin Falcon, Patrick Becker, Lee. I do apologise, Lee. I'm never really sure how to pronounce your name, so excuse me if I butcher it. But Lee Mirano. I hope that's not too far from the correct pronunciation. 60s man, how are you, mate? Chip Young, John Ross, Vincent Brennan, how's it going, mate? Michael Clark, evening chaps from Dubai. Yes, Michael is one of my students out in that part of the world, but he's a Teesside lad living out there. Andy Hawke, Jimmy James, Peter Collins. I think that's probably pronounced Jan Karlberg, is it? I do apologise once again if my dulcet tones are mangling the pronunciation of your name, but nice to have you here, mate. Thank you for being here. Who else we got? The Time Prophet. How are you, mate? Johnny Random. Johnny's in. Evening all. I'm a bit late today. Time for an early one though. Cheers. Well, yes. It's got to be. If you can't have an early beer on a Friday, then when can you? Kieran Roberts, Patrick Becker, Dave Lewis, Brad Matthews, Graham Campbell, Dash Schaff. How are you, mate? John Channing, and perfect pronunciation, says Jan. Well, I'm pleased about that. Oh, and there's Ozzy. Ozzy's just landed in the chat. How are you, mate? Right. Well, I got to tell you, I'm really enjoying this new streaming platform, StreamYard. You can see the little, I think it's a mallard duck in the top right-hand corner of the screen there. It was such a faff about setting it up on Zoom every week, and as you know, we had a couple of false starts last week when I was setting up the stream to schedule it for later, and it just went live. And so I shan't be using Zoom anymore for the live stream. I'm going to use this StreamYard because I can do this. There's Bottleneck Bob Bridge. How are you, mate? Yeah, it's just nice to be able to click and put the comments up on screen, amongst other things. There's loads of other features in StreamYard that I'm going to end up, kind of exploring and seeing what's going on. Evening, Podrick. How are you, mate? So, as is customary at this point in the proceedings, let me tell you what's coming up on the channel this week. On Sunday, you'll have noticed a pattern by now. I'm doing a theory video on a Wednesday, and then that's usually based around the kind of the theory of it, the chords and stuff like that. And then on the Sunday, I do a solo based on the same sort of thing. Well, that's what's coming up on this Sunday. A Lydian mode solo. Then on Monday, a guitar solo from an album that I'd completely forgotten about. It was another one of these albums that when I made the switch from, I think, CDs to MP3s and then MP3s to streaming, it kind of fell through the cracks. Fantastic country female artist called Mary Chapin Carpenter. There's a great couple of solos on one of her songs from a song called The Hard Way. So that's what's coming up on Monday. Tuesday, it's another kind of what I'm going to start calling the Tuesday videos the top 5 Tuesday or something like that, because that seems to be what it's kind of settled into doing. I did notice that the my top 5 performances by this band or that artist or whoever, those were starting to tail off in terms of getting the viewers. So I'm just going to rest those for a little bit because I've got a few other things I want to do. And one of those, somebody left me a comment on the last Bucket List Guitars video where they were saying, how about, money no object? If you were, a billionaire or something like that, and you just didn't, it just didn't, money wasn't even a consideration, what would you buy? So I kind of went with that, but I thought, well, let's look at the kind of rig a billionaire would have, money no object rig. So, few guitars, amp, pedal, so that sort of thing. So that's what's going to be coming up on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we are looking at the Mixolydian mode in terms of what it is chordally, because that's the Wednesday theory video. And then Thursday, it is the battle of the budget Les Pauls, Harley Benton versus Vintage. That is a good one. You don't want to miss that. Some moderately surprising results there. I'm a huge fan of vintage guitars, and I'm a huge fan of Harley Benton guitars. So it was whichever one won that one, I was happy with. And yeah, it's an interesting result. I'll say no more because then that'll spoil the video. Then after Thursday, it's Friday, and we're back on the beer. What's that, Dave? John Robson Guitars, great picture this evening, John. Yes, you can see my wonderful face in glorious HD or whatever resolution it is. Yeah, this is just this new webcam. It's the old webcam. Hang on, let me get it. The one that you watched me on for many a live stream was one of these. Just a little Microsoft LiveCam thing that was. It was apparently a pretty good webcam in its day. It actually cost more when I bought it than this one does. It's just that one's about, dear me, about 12-year-old. So this one is, I think it's a Logitech, and it seems to do the job rather nicely. You can, as I say, see my big pink head in full HD. Where are we? If money was no object, I would still play. Let me just put that up. I'm getting used to this chat thing. Excuse me, I've lost that. There we go, the time profit. If money was no object, I would still play the same guitar as I have now, Aria Pro 2. Nothing wrong with that, mate. Aria Pro 2 guitars, I mean, they were, in the early 80s, they were kind of the guitars that sort of removed the stigma almost of of having made in Japan written on it, because before then you had to be made in the USA, didn't it? Gibson, Fender, Rickenbacker, yada yada yada, and then these Aria Pro 2 guitars came out, and the thing that made me realize how good they were was seeing Andy Summers playing one in some kind of video. I can't remember what it was, but I definitely saw him playing one. I thought, okay, so yeah, they are. Times have moved on, and it's now a respectable thing to play a Far Eastern guitar. What's that, Colin? You're using the same Microsoft webcam? Yep. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. It cost me, or whatever it cost me, about 12 years ago, and it's never put a foot wrong. It's never packed in. It's never kind of done anything amiss. It just this is a better one. Technology has moved on, hasn't it? I've just picked up one of those Positive Grid Spark amps. It's absolutely brilliant. Have you tried one? I keep hovering with my finger over the buy it now, or the kind of the kind of purchase button, and I always chicken out. And the reason is it just seems like I would be paying for a lot of features that I wouldn't be using. I would be paying for that kind of intelligent jam track kind of thing, and the Bluetooth connectivity, and all of the sort of stuff that seem to be the main selling points of it, beyond the sounds of it as well. I don't know. I just don't see myself using them. My plan is that at some point there will be a 2.0 that gets that comes out, a Positive Grid Spark 2.0, and the old ones will start to, the used market, and that might make them a bit more affordable, and then I shall probably pick one up. I do movie reviews, and I put some of my guitar playing in the review for the first time because I put animations at the start of my videos. Well, fair enough, mate. Good luck to you. Feel free to post a link to your channel in the chat, or in the I don't know if you can do that in the chat, but you can certainly do it in the comments section afterwards. So feel free to do that. Craig says, I had an Aria a few years ago, but I traded it for a Marshall JCM 900. I think I remember that Aria you had, Craig. Was it like a Les Paul kind of shaped thing? I seem to remember that one that you had. Yes, Johnny Love. Didn't realise Slash's main guitar was not a Les Paul, but a luthier copy. The luthier died apparently about a year after making it, from nitrocellulose poisoning, working in a small, unvented room. Yeah, I saw that as well recently. Was it on a Rick Beato video? I can't remember. It was something like that. I might be wrong, but yeah. I did hear that a few years ago, that Slash's Les Paul wasn't actually a Les Paul. Interesting that, where does that stand legally? If you, we all kind of talk about the, the scourge of the cheap knockoffs that come from China, the Chibsons, that purport to be Les Pauls, but they're not, but they're forgeries. They're forgeries. So is it still a forgery if it's lovingly crafted by a skilled luthier who, just makes a beautiful guitar that's even better than perhaps a Gibson? But if it says Gibson on it and it hasn't come out of the Gibson factory, does that still make it a forgery? I'm nicking this from Mr. McKnight, but what is the one piece of gear that you've reviewed and regret getting rid of? Oh, dear me. That's a tough one. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you up on screen there, Podrick. The one piece of gear I've reviewed and regretted getting rid of, I think... it was back in the days when I was doing the Guitars for Good Causes thing. There was I got a Harley Benton Fusion guitar and absolutely loved it. Absolutely gorgeous guitar, but it wasn't mine. It didn't belong to me. It belonged to the charity, so it had to go. I enjoyed playing it, and then I thought I really liked that guitar, so I bought myself exactly the same model again, and it just wasn't the same. It just wasn't as good a guitar. Don't know why. Couldn't put my finger on what it was that I didn't quite like about it as much, but there was just something not quite the same about it. Just didn't quite feel quite the same or sound quite the same. So probably that one. That Harley Benton Fusion, one of the first ones. Mike from CGS says it's okay to own a copy legal, but illegal to knowingly sell a copy. Yes, it is. I'm not talking legally here, I suppose. I'm talking about sort of philosophically. If you've got a guitar that says Gibson Les Paul on it, that's a beautiful guitar, absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeously put together, perfect in every way, an absolute tribute, an absolute, ringing endorsement of that design of guitar. But if it's not a real Gibson, is it a tribute or is it a forgery? There you go. Good evening, Steve. How are you? Do you ever use a looper, John? If so, could you do an instructional video? I have used a looper years ago when I was in just a guitar and vocals duo doing the pubs around here. And it was very, very useful because it meant that, like, there was just me and the singer, basically. So it meant that I could, you know, play lead parts. And come on, somebody's going to say flake. Get out of the way. That is an appalling pour of beer. Yes, there we go. I'm ashamed of that one. Thank you, Chip. Let's put that up. Yeah, I have used... oops. I have used a looper in the past, but I don't own one now. It is something I've thought about doing a video on it in the past, but there's always been something else to do. And I'm going to tell you, it's like, you know, there have been a few videos, it has to say, where, yeah, packet of flakes. There have been a few videos where I haven't really been invested in the piece of equipment that I'm reviewing, and I do think it shows. You know, if I'm not really that interested in the thing that I'm reviewing, so I've always looked at doing a looper pedal video in the context of doing a review, and because I'm not that interested in looper pedals, because I just knock a backing track together in Reaper if I want something to play against. You know, I've always sort of shied away from doing looper reviews, but it's a cracking idea that doing a looper tutorial, that would be a good angle to do it from. So thank you. Yes, all the flake comments are coming in. Did anyone else see the Produce Like a Pro video on Jeff Beck? I did indeed. And, you know, I do like Warren's videos. You know, the Django Reinhardt one, I don't know if you've seen that, but that's a really good video as well. I like Warren's channel. Some of the kind of more nitty-gritty production stuff does go a little bit over my head. But, you know, it's... Yeah, I fail to watch any of his videos and not learn at least something. So, you know, that's, you know, a great, I think, endorsement. I do like Warren Hewitt. I think he's a great YouTuber. How do I play a clean loop and dirty lead over it? When I hit the effects, the loop changes. Well, I suppose it all depends. Yeah, if you have your looper pedal after the, if your looper pedal is before your dirt pedal, then whatever's coming out of the looper pedal is going to go into the dirt pedal and get dirtied up. But if you put your looper pedal after the dirt pedal, then, you know, that loop that's kind of stored in the looper pedal is just going straight into the amp, and then surely you kick the dirt pedal on. That shouldn't affect it, I wouldn't have thought. I bought the Boss loop station, but I find it's too over-featured. If you want to borrow it, John, to do a review on, I will bring it up on the 27th. I'll have a look at it, Bob. Yes. I just don't know how long it'll take me to get round to doing it, you know. So it might have to be a case, if you're okay with that, you know, leave it with me and I'll post it back down to you, mate, if that's the case. Ozzy's saying no sound. Can you all hear me okay? Let me just check my camera and mic settings. Audio. Yeah, my mic appears to be working at this end. I'm getting a meter reading. So, you know, I don't know why you might not be getting any audio, Ozzy. Sorry, mate. Okay, everybody else seems to be hearing me okay. That's fair enough. It wouldn't be the first time that a mic has packed in at an inopportune moment. I remember a few months ago, Sunday morning, it's about 8:30 a.m. I've got a stack of videos to kind of shoot, and I've got a bunch of lessons to do on the afternoon, and me microphone just decided, no, not playing today. And so it was like Sunday morning, where is open on a Sunday morning that's local that I can get to and I can buy a new mic? And I got this one in Argos. This is a 25 quid mic from Argos. It's one of these things. And do you know what? I'm more than happy with the quality of it. And I've got a couple of extra ones in the drawer just as spares. So it's a trust mic. And I wouldn't call it, I wouldn't kind of mic up an amp with it or do, anything overly demanding with it. But just for this kind of thing and making YouTube videos, it seems to do, do the job perfectly well. Oh, okay, Bob. No need to post it back. Right. Well, yes, Bob. That would be a great thing. I'll have a look at that loop station for you. Which Fusion did you regret going, the Telly or the Strat? It was the Strat one I had. I believe, if memory serves me right, it was a HSH in Bengal. I was going to say Bengal Spice then. That's the local curry house, as many of you know. In Bengal Burst or something like that, like a brown sort of chocolatey sunburst kind of thing. And it was just a beautiful guitar, but the one that I bought to replace it just was an okay guitar that didn't really kind of capture my heart. You should see the beer I've just poured. Flake, well, all flake, yes. Oh, dear me. John, if anyone is after a wireless system, I've just got one from Amazon, Legato 5.8 gigahertz, $59.99. It's great. It's funny you should mention that, Chip, because I am seriously looking at a wireless system, because I've got this kind of, let me show you, one of these kind of chairs, typical sort of office chair with the kind of casters on it. And I'm forever knackering guitar leads by rolling the chair around like that, and it goes over the lead. And eventually that spells death and destruction for the lead. So I am thinking about just getting a wireless system, because 60 quid on a wireless system, dear me, that's cheap compared to what they used to be. And it'll pay for itself I must spend at least 60 quid a year on replacing guitar leads. So that's, it just does seem a bit, kind of ostentatious to have a wireless system that kind of goes from where I'm sitting here to the interface, which I'm actually touching now. It's within arm's reach. So that's the only thing that's made me think, come on, do you really need it? But perhaps it's time. Have you ever watched any Bernth guitar tutorials on YouTube? He is insanely talented. Do you know what? I think I probably have done, because that name definitely rings a bell. But I can't picture him in my head, or her, or whoever it is. So that's how little I remember. But that name definitely rings a bell. So yes, I have, but I can remember very, very little about it. I wonder why that might be. Can't make 27th as my better half has been diagnosed with breast cancer. Can you take some vids of it to show on Be a Night? We shall do that, Dave. We shall take... that's what I'm thinking about doing. I can't live stream it for reasons that are very complicated. But first of all, before I go into that, so sorry to hear about your missus, mate. Give her our best, please. Give her a hug from each and every one of us. And, fingers crossed she's doing well, mate. Dear me, that's not the kind of news you want to hear, is it, really? But, just keep strong, mate, But, yeah, we can't live stream for various legal reasons that I can't, and technical reasons that I can't go into here, because we'll be here all night explaining. But we will be, there will be videos being shot, and I'm thinking of like doing some kind of relive the moment kind of YouTube video to put it up, and picture, photographs, video segments and stuff. We'll be doing something like that. So yes, in case anybody doesn't know, August the 27th, 2 weeks tonight, there is a bit of a gathering of what Michael Dodds called earlier the Robsonites. Still makes me kind of shudder that. In Redcar, in the northeast of England, we're all getting together for a few beers and a curry. So far, it's tickling double figures for the number of people who are confirmed turning up. So you got to let me know by next week. By this time next week, if you are definitely coming, because then I shall be booking the table in the restaurant, and that will, because you can't just, if there's going to be kind of hordes of us turning up, we can't just sort of say a table for 25, please, or whatever. So let me know if you're turning up, and I will get the table booked. John, have you used a whammy bar? Any tips? I don't get on with whammy bars, to be honest with you. I tried. At the beginning of the 1980s, I was just turned into a teenager, so that was a very impressionable age. Spending the 80s as a teenager, and every guitarist was kind of whammy bar crazy. I remember even seeing Midge Ure with a big old Gibson jazz box that had a Floyd Rose in it. And you think, yeah, that was when I realised that it had probably gone a bit too far. But yeah, every guitar had a whammy bar on it. Floyd Rose, Carla, this, that, or the other. I tried, and it doesn't fit with the way that I play. It's just not how I play. I don't like the fact that when you bend one string, the others go out of tune, and it seems to be you give up too much in terms of stability and everything with a whammy bar for what you get in return. So it's for the way I play, it doesn't really work. What's that, Anton? Hoping to be there on the 27th. Long drive from the West Country, but no distance too far for beer, curry, and guitar chat. Well, I'll add you to the list, mate, and if you can make it, that would be absolutely fantastic, Anton. Would love to see you there. There's plenty of, we're up north here. Prices are cheap in this part of the world. There's plenty of I was going to say doss houses then, but they're not. They're kind of reasonably priced bed and breakfast accommodation that where you can, because to be honest with you, after a belly full of beer and curry, you don't need 5-star facilities, do you? You just need somewhere to lay your head. Let's see. Oh, we've got new comments. I love the Floyd and the Carla, not John's favourite, but you need to compensate with the palm of your right hand by gently pushing down as the other strings go out of tune. Fine once used to it. You see, that's it. That's I had a similar conversation the other day with a student about playing slide, and all of the kind of muting and just little where's my slide on? There it is. All of the kind of muting stuff that you have to do with this side of your hand on the slide and everything, and with this hand and everything, it just, once it's intuitive, you don't think about it. And I imagine it's the same when you're playing with a locking trem, but it's just not. It never became intuitive for me. So there you go. Oh, dear me, that's going down rather well tonight. The further north, the bigger the brekkie. The farthest north I've ever been is Morecambe. Yeah, that's down south, Time Prophet, mate. That's virtually London. Have you heard Chris Buck's latest venture, Cardinal Black? I haven't, but I shall be checking that out. I do like Chris's playing. He's... The one thing you can say about Chris Buck, you hear, and this is a cliche to say this about any guitarist, but it's especially true about his playing. You hear 2 notes and you know it's him. It's just, he's unmistakable. And I mean, for such a, maybe it's just a sign of me getting older, you know. You know, everybody starts to look younger, but he does only appear to be a wee slip of a lad, you know, for the kind of technique and the knowledge and the touch that he's got. It's you know, I think he's astounding. The Vega Trem, I thought, sorry, okay, live. I just glanced up at the screen there and almost said the wrong thing. The Vega Trem whammy is easy to fit and holds its tune extremely well. Shame it's so expensive, or I put it on all my guitars. I almost read that and thought the vegetarian whammy. Imagine what that would be. Who knows? Super flick. That's not that bad. That's not bad. I've done worse than that. No, come on. Yes. Okay, chaps. Come on. I mean, that wasn't a bad pour. It wasn't a brilliant pour, but it wasn't a bad one. Has anyone noticed, what was that? Sorry, that's just disappeared. I think there's somebody saying, has anybody noticed the number of Hotel California cover vids on YouTube at the moment? I can't say I have, mate. Where are we? By the way, I thought I'd just put this out here. Do you remember that Jerry Donahue vintage guitar that I did the couple of videos with a few weeks ago? The owner of that guitar is looking to sell. So if anybody is interested, then get in touch with me and I'll pass your details on to him. It's in absolute minter condition. Those guitars are about close on 400 list price, but you know, kind of, if you see them kind of discounted, which you usually do, they're about 350. I think he's wanting to get about 300 out of it, and it's in absolute mint condition. So if anybody's interested in a fantastic Telly style guitar, get in touch with me and I shall pass your details on. I promised him I'd mention that, and it just popped into my head, so there you go. The guitar is the vintage V58, I think it is, Jerry Donahue signature model. Fantastic Telecaster style guitar with a bit of clever switching on the pickups, so you get more than just the three Telecaster style sounds. If you just go on YouTube and search John Robson Jerry Donahue signature, you'll find it. You'll find me video on it, and it explains what it all does in there. Great little guitar. I mean, you know, absolutely the equal of anything with the F word on it, I would say. And he's wanting about 300 out of it. So let me know. As I say, get in touch and let me know, and I'll pass your details on. What's that, Ozzy? I'm never getting rid of... There we go. Let's put you up on screen, Ozzy. I'm never getting rid of my vintage V100. I keep upgrading it. Now it looks and sounds and plays better than anything I've ever had. They are great guitars. And you might want to check out Thursday's video, Ozzy, because I'm putting... I'll tell you what, I'll go and grab it. Hang on. I've got this vintage V100 here in gloss black. Got a bit of a Black Beauty vibe going with it, hasn't it? There she is, vintage V100, all the usual accoutrements of like Wilkinson hardware and everything, all gold hardware. This guy is going head to head with this one on Thursday. This, of course, is the Harley Benton SC 552. These are about 240 quid. The vintage again, if you pay full price, are about 400. So it's an interesting video on Thursday to see which one of these two budget Les Pauls, that I love both of them, by the way. I absolutely I love the vintage V100 guitars and that Harley Benton. Which one is, how they compare basically, because they are good in their own ways for different things. So watch that video and you'll find out what they're good for, basically. Let me scroll back up through the chat, because while I've been blethering, I've missed a few comments. Yes, Ozzy, I shall be putting a string butler on the Harley Benton at some point, because it does suffer from that Les Paul tuning, weakness, shall we say. And I'll also be replacing the tuners. I'm still waiting for some Cluson Revelation or Revolution. I always forget which one it is. The locking tuners that basically just drop straight in, so I don't have to start drilling holes or anything. Harley Benton 552 all the way, for no other reason the vintage V's are like boat anchors weight wise. That one isn't too bad, actually. That one, I do know what you mean. I had a lemon drop in here ages ago, long before I started doing the YouTube thing seriously. Anyway, a student of mine had the vintage lemon drop, and dear me, it was an absolute beast. As you say, boat anchor. It was like a real kind of heavy thing. But this one, people often ask me how much guitars weigh. What's the weight on that guitar? And I don't have a set of scales. There isn't a set of scales. The only scales in our house are the ones that the missus uses for weighing out flour and stuff when she's baking. So that obviously that's not going to be any good for weighing these. There aren't any like kind of bathroom scales or anything. But this one, I categorize guitars in terms of three weights. There's comfortable. There's, oh my God, that's bloody light. And there's, oh my God, that's bloody heavy. And this firmly falls into the comfortable category, as does this one. I'm just feeling the weight of the two of them now. There's not a lot in it, to be honest. So I do know what you mean about the V100s being slightly on the portly side, shall we say. Are you a fan of court guitars, John? Well, yes, I am. Many years ago, 1988 it was. 88 or 89, I'd basically I'd moved back over to the northeast of England from where I'd been living at the time in the northwest of England, Lake District, and I got into a band, and the other guitarist had a Court SG copy, and it was an absolute belter of a guitar. That was the first time I've heard of them. And then obviously, they kind of keep, their profile has been raised over the years. And yeah, I've never played a bad Court guitar. And as I say, I first heard of them back in the late 80s and really impressed with them back then. And I almost pulled the trigger on a Court, actually, a couple of months ago. But it was just like... It was such a beautiful looking guitar. It was like, I think Darryl Braun did the review on it. It was like a twin humbucker Strat kind of thing. And, he was waxing lyrical about it. And I thought, yeah. And I saw one on eBay and thought, yeah, that's a good price for that. And I almost pulled the trigger, but ended up buying that Epiphone Les Paul instead, if you remember that one. Yes, indeed. The Epiphone Les Paul Studio. So, yeah, Court might just be making an appearance on this. Incidentally, I might be speaking out of turn here. I might be completely wrong, but this is the Harley Benton. I don't know if you can see that, but if that's in focus. But it's made in Indonesia. Now, I can only think off the top of my head correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be, for all I know, I might be completely wide of the mark here. But I can only think that there's two big volume guitar manufacturers in Indonesia that I definitely know are Indonesian, and that's Cort, or Cortec to give them the full name, and Samick. So I'm wondering if this Harley Benton came out with a Cort factory, or possibly the Samick factory. I'm not entirely sure. Just talking about Samick guitars, yes, one of our regular cohorts on the channel here has a beautiful Samick that we're going to be looking at some point in the not too distant future. Malcolm Spillett, I haven't seen him in this evening, but yeah, he's been emailing me some pictures of his guitars. I'm still waiting for him to get back to me on, when's a good date to do a Zoom call that we can do a bit of an interview and look at his guitars. And one of them is an absolute belter of a Samick that, I'm thinking, I wonder if I can find one of those. Let's have a look in the chat again. We're really spoilt with budget guitars coupled with cheap replacement bits. There is no reason for beginners getting poor equipment to start with. Resale prices are cool too. Yep, I'll go along with that one, Steve. I mean, it does, kind of, it turns me, I'll tell you what this does, it turns me into the Yorkshireman from the Monty Python sketch, Yeah, when I were a lad, we used to sleep in an all-in road, all that sort of stuff. When I hear people talking now about this, Harley Benton or whatever guitar, pick a budget brand of guitars. Oh, and the nut was badly cut, and the frets were a little bit uneven. It's complete. It's a disaster of a guitar. Grow a pair, come on. You go back in a time machine and go back to 1978 and try a 150 quid guitar back in 1978, the Satellite or Columbus Les Paul that I had back then, or the Hondo Rainbow, or any of the awful guitars, or the Marlin Sidewinder from the 80s. What a dog of a guitar that was. I'm on the lookout for one actually now to do a kind of video on it, just to prove what an absolute munter of a guitar that was, the Marlin Sidewinder. And budget guitars these days, it's Guitar Max. Max Carlisle said a little while ago in one of his videos, we're in a golden age of cheap guitars. We really are. Luxury, says Chip Young. Yes, indeed. The thing about, I know what you mean. Where are we? Sorry, Thap Thop Theep. But out of interest, how do you come up with a YouTube handle like Thap Thop Theep? There's a story behind that. I would love to know what it is. But yeah, Harley Benton guitars. You know how many I've had through me hands. The ones I've reviewed over the years. And I've genuinely never had a disastrous one. I've had a couple that have needed a bit of a setup on them, and a few that have needed a little bit of work doing on them, but nothing that's been like terminal, nothing that's been a deal breaker. Nothing that I haven't also had on guitars that cost much, much more, put it that way. But there's a lot of Harley Benton haters out there. There was one chap who on the review I did of that SC 552, he was he was quite angry. It was one of those comments that made me think, what are you really angry about? It was one of those kind of things. Maybe the little blue pills weren't working for him, who knows. But as a brand, they do seem to attract much more vitriol and hatred than any other brand I can think of, because I once had a bad one, and I once had a bad Fender, I've had a bad Gibson, I accept that the odd bad one slips through the net every now and again, and it's not something that I tar the entire brand with, but hey, who knows? There is, as I say, a lot of Harley haters out there. Harley Benton, a nice man. The telly I got was spot on. I'd argue it's better than my Squire Affinity Telecaster. I would certainly argue that as well. If it's the TE52, which is like the sort of butterscotch blonde Telecaster kind of thing, I would say it's in the same price bracket as a Squire Affinity, perhaps even a bit cheaper. I'd have to check that. I think it is. But you got through body stringing, you got Alnico pickups. It's just the core, the bones of the instrument are better than you would get on, the Squire Affinities. Not there's anything wrong with Squire Affinities; they're great guitars. I just think Fender could up the game a little bit. Put some decent Alnico pickups in. Here's the thing that always puzzles me about Fender guitars, right? About and this is like a thing across the whole range. You go and buy a Squire Bullet Telecaster, it's got the proper stringing, through body stringing. Then you go up a level to the Affinity guitars, and they're a top loader bridge. And it's like you would get to the top of the Squire range, which was like the classic vibe, and then the Mexican Strats now come with Alnico pickups, but they didn't used to. They used to be ceramic pickups. So I didn't like those ceramic pickups in the Mexican Strats and Mexican Fenders. I thought they sounded muddy. But you get to the top end of the Squire range with classic vibes, good quality Alnico pickups. Then you go up a level and you get like a downgrade in the components, and Fender seem to do that a lot and seem to have done it for some years now. I've never really understood it. So it's like I've got this bit of a rule with Fender guitars. If you're going to buy something from Fender, don't buy the bottom end of kind of a range. Buy the top end of the range below it, and you're probably getting a better guitar. If Harley Benton not right, send it back. Easy. Yeah, indeed. Squire standards no longer available new are full thickness body and of Alnico 5 pickups, John. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about, mate. And then you go up to the made in Mexico ones, which, yes, I know the Player series nowadays have Alnico pickups. But back when it was the standard series, it was ceramic pickups, and again, people kind of beat me up a bit for kind of being down on ceramic pickups. I'm not. Not all ceramic pickups are bad, but you'll tend to find that most bad pickups are ceramic. That's the way I look at it. And ceramic pickups don't give you that clarity and that transparency that you want from a Strat, I think. It's a sound, and if you like it, it's then good for you, but it's not what I would think of as a kind of classic Strat sound. But I agree, don't get the logic. I bought a Fender Telecaster HH and the pickups were Alnico too, but it was a bit muddy. That's unusual, Raphael, to be honest with you. Out of all the Alnico, I would have thought that any Alnico pickups that were likely to be a bit muddy sounding would have been Alnico 5s. I had a PRS Santana SE years ago, and I didn't like the stock pickups in it, so I put some Seymour Duncan 59s in it. And they were Alnico 5s, and it improved the guitar greatly. So I thought, oh, Alnico 5s are the pickups to have. And then I discovered Alnico 2s, and oh dear me, it's just such a sweeter sound. So I'm surprised that you got a muddy sound out of A5s, to be honest. Have to say I'm really liking the custom brand SG Deluxe. It's a fine instrument. Think I want to watch with that. The custom brand, yes. It's a brand I've been hearing, kind of rumblings about, and it is one that I am looking at checking out at some point. What about the Vanson pickups for the Harley Benton SC550? Do you know what, Ed? You might be onto something there. I keep thinking about replacing the pickups in it because those are Tesla Alnico 5 pickups. But I kind of like that they sound different from the Vansons because, you know, I've got the Vansons in Blondie here. Gosh, look at that top. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that on that new camera. Isn't that absolutely? Yeah, these are the Vanson Alnico 2s. And purely for, you know, recording purposes, I like that this guitar has different voiced pickups because it makes it easier to, you know, kind of mix the two different sounds. These pickups sound hotter and brighter than those that in the signature guitar. So whilst I prefer the sound of the Vansons, I am thinking, well, you know, it's nice to have two different sounding guitars. John, do you think Harley Benton missed a trick by not putting coil splits on the SC552? Possibly. But I don't know. Playing this guitar, the way it kind of cleans up with the volume control, it's these pickups are very transparent sounding anyway, and I never feel that like I need to kind of thin the sound out anymore by, you know, kind of pulling a pot and switching it to single coil. So yeah, possibly they did, but it's not something that I miss on this particular instrument. So yeah, Scott Guitar's top shimmers on the new cam, very pretty. Wes, well, get in touch with Dan. He's taking orders. You know, let's show you it again. Here we go. Isn't that gorgeous? I know Kieran, who's a regular on this channel, he's just ordered one, and he's getting it in some. If you don't like that finish, by the way, you can order it in a different finish. Kieran's ordered his in a sunburst. Why not swap one pickup on the 550 and one Vanson? Where are we? And one on the Vanson and one Tesla. Yeah, could do that, couldn't I? Yeah, that might be a thing to do. So yes, watch this space. Guitar porn from Scott Guitars. You're gagging for it, are you, Kieran? Yes. Anyway, excuse me. My glass appears to be empty, and that just will not do. Here we go. It's chilly in the Robson household this evening, by the way. I haven't spent all day. I spent a couple of hours this morning, or an hour this morning, I should say, cooking up a big old batch of chili. Come on, somebody's going to say flake. I'll give you a decent head on this one so somebody can say flake. There you go. Is that big enough? Flake in anticipation. John, stop flashing your top. New t-shirt, John. The wife got us this in February for my birthday. It's Phil Lynott or Lynott. Da 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 da. Tonight, we all know what the next line is going to be there. So yes, I've cooked up a big old batch of chili today, and the house smells absolutely ridiculously good. So there's a bunch of that gone in the freezer, and I shall be doing strawberry sauce and sprinkles on that one, John. Yes, it's not that bad. John, has a signature guitar actually got a signature yet? Yes. It doesn't have decals. Dan hasn't sent me the decals yet, although he's got them. But there's the signature right there. So there you go. How much time per day do you spend admiring the Scott signature model? I'm still I'm still doing that thing where, as a gentleman of a certain age, it's rare that I sleep through the entire night. Okay, I have to get up in the night to answer the call of nature. So I'll just kind of quite often just pad along the landing and switch the light on in here and just look at it, gaze admiringly, sigh, and then go back to bed. It looks like Leslie Crowther's son-in-law. Yes, indeed. When I get my SC552, it's having CTS pots with Seymour Duncan 57 classics. Good for you, mate. Sounds like a good combination. You know. How about posting your favourite curry recipe? My wife is after it. I shall do that, Steve, if I remember. I've had a few beers, but ping me an email to remind me if I forget to do it, and I'll let you know. Wife must be getting jealous of your new girlfriend. No, she's very good about that kind of thing, my missus. It's... whenever there's a new guitar arriving, I say, I might have bought a new guitar. And she says, okay, right. And then the next thing I see, she's shopping for like Dolce and Prada or whatever kind of designer clobber. Did you ever play any of Roger Griffin guitars? Not knowingly, mate. Can't say I have. There's a wiring diagram on let me put this up because this might be useful to people. There's a wiring diagram on the Seymour Duncan site for 1 volume, 1 tall dual humbuckers with a 5-position Oak Grigsby switch. Position 4 and 5 are remarkably useful, I find. That's good to know. That is good to know. Yes, thank you. What's that? Check out a book called The Curry Guy for curry recipes. It's great. I must admit, my curry recipe isn't entirely from scratch. I do use a pre-bought spice paste that is just so much more convenient than going out and buying the lemongrass and the garam masala and the, kind of all galan and all that sort of stuff. But it's that will be getting cooked on Sunday anyway. Oh, Mike. Nice to see you, Mike. China guitar skeptic. How are you, mate? You're catching us almost in the dying seconds of the game, mate. I've just poured my last beer, and then I'm going to go and eat chili. What about the John Robson cookbook? Parmo, curry, kebab, etc. Yes. The Parmo, the Teesside speciality. We shall be having that this weekend, possibly. Probably tomorrow night. Yes, I could do that, couldn't I? I could do a cookbook. Just all the kind of skills I learned as a student, because, when you're a student, you have to spend as little as possible on food, so you got more money left for beer and cigarettes. So you learn to cook economically and tastily. Thank you, Mike. Yes, we've had a few flake comments tonight. I'm still looking for. Let me put you up on screen. I'm still looking for a way to get your wonderful graphic up on screen in StreamYard. So I know you're a bit of a dab hand with StreamYard, so I may be picking your brains. Now, how do I get you off screen? Where have you gone? There you go. I may be picking your brains in the week to ask you about StreamYard, so don't be surprised if an email lands in your inbox from me. Oh, hang on, didn't mean to do that. What about the Fat Northern Lads t-shirt? I tried, Bob. I tried the Fat Northern Lads t-shirt, but I just kept kind of I don't know whether it was because it might have been seen as discriminatory or something like that, but Teespring, I uploaded the design, but it never ever went live. So I don't know. There are other t-shirt providers, so I might be looking into that. But yes, the Fat Northern Lads T-shirt might be making an appearance. Be good if I could get it up before the August the 27th bash, wouldn't it? Because then we could all turn up wearing them. Because I know we all know each other, but, you know, how are we going to recognise each other? Because I don't know what any of you chaps look like. You know what I look like. But, you know, for all I know, you know, for instance, Das Schaff could be Prince Charles. I don't know. Might be. On holiday in Cornwall, so only got my Hofner Shorty travel guitar and THR-10C to keep my guitar playing addiction satisfied. Yeah, I know that one. You know, whenever we go on holiday, which isn't very often at the moment, but you know, it's always like, I'm gonna have to last a week without a guitar. So you wear a top hat. Oh dear me, Deco dude is Slash. Slash is coming to the curry house with us. It's not difficult. All-time prophets have glowing eyes. Chip Young says, I'm a 6'4" Adonis. Well, I'm taller than you, mate. I'm 6'7". Fried Mars bars and chips every night. Anyway, chaps, we've been on over an hour and we've been talking about food and I'm getting hungry. So I'm going to wrap things up here and say once again, it baffles me that so many of you, where are we now, 173 concurrent viewers, so many of you turn up to watch a fat, bald northern lad talk cobblers for an hour every Friday night. But I'm grateful that you do, so thank you once again, one and all. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.